You have been told more than once that crying easily means something is wrong with you, that you are too soft, too reactive, too much. Somewhere along the way, you started apologizing for your own eyes. By the end of this video, you will understand exactly why that apology was never necessary and what your tears actually reveal about how your brain is built. Here is the first thing almost nobody tells you. Crying at a commercial, at a song you have heard 100 times, at a stranger's small act of kindness is not a personality flaw. It is a documented trait with a name, studied for decades, and it may describe as many as 1 in every 3 people you know. Psychologist Elaine Aron called it the highly sensitive person, or HSP for short. This is not a diagnosis. It is a description of a nervous system that processes information more deeply than average. Somewhere between 1 in 5 and 1 in 3 people fit this pattern, which means the person sitting next to you on the train, the coworker who tears up during a birthday toast, is not broken. They are simply running a different kind of processing engine. Now, before you decide this is just a comforting label invented to make sensitivity sound trendy, consider what is actually happening inside the skull. The limbic system, the part of your brain responsible for detecting and reacting to emotional signals, is measurably more reactive in highly sensitive people. It fires faster, it fires stronger. Where one person notices a sad scene and feels a flicker of something, a highly sensitive person's limbic system registers a spike, and that spike travels straight to the tear ducts before the thinking part of the brain has time to negotiate a calmer response. But there is a second piece to this puzzle, and it involves a hormone most people have never heard mentioned outside of a biology textbook: prolactin. It is best known for its role in milk production, but prolactin also shows up, in both men and women, in the chemistry of emotional tears specifically, as opposed to the tears that simply protect your eyes from dust or wind. Higher circulating levels of prolactin are linked to a lower threshold for crying. This is not poetic language, it is endocrinology. Your tear ducts are, quite literally, downstream of your hormones, not your willpower. So if you have ever been told to just calm down, to just control it, understand that you were being asked to override a limbic reflex and a hormonal signal using nothing but effort. That is like being told to stop sweating through sheer determination. Here is where this gets genuinely unexpected, and this is the part worth sitting with for a moment. There is a well-known line of research led by psychologists, including James Gross, on what happens when people habitually suppress their emotional expression, when they hold their face still and refuse to let anything show. The finding is not that suppression makes people stronger. The finding is that suppression carries a cognitive cost. People who consistently push down emotional expression show measurably worse memory for the emotional events they were suppressing during. The brain is spending resources holding the door shut, and something has to give. This explains a pattern you have probably lived through without ever having language for it. The person who never cried through an actual crisis, who held it together through the funeral, through the breakup, through the diagnosis, and then, months later, breaks down completely over a soap commercial or an old song on the radio. That is not random weakness showing up at a strange time. That is accumulated suppression finally finding an exit through the nearest available door, because the pressure never actually disappeared, it only waited. If you are the person who cries at things that seem, on paper, too small to justify it, this may be exactly what is happening. Your tears are not appearing out of nowhere. They are collecting on unpaid debts from moments when you held everything in and told yourself you were being strong. There is one more layer to this, and it reframes the entire conversation, so keep this in mind before you finish watching. Tears are not only an internal release valve. They function as a social signal, and the research on this is fairly striking. Visible tears change how other people respond to you. Across multiple studies, people are more inclined to offer help, comfort, and cooperation to someone who is visibly crying compared to someone showing identical distress with a dry face. Your tears are, in a very real sense, doing communicative work that words alone cannot always do. They are a signal that bypasses language and speaks directly to another nervous system, saying, "This is real, and I need something from you right now." And highly sensitive people do not only feel their own emotions more intensely. The same heightened responsiveness appears to extend outward. Evidence on mirror neuron activity suggests that highly sensitive individuals also register other people's emotional states more vividly, which is a large part of why so many of them describe themselves as easily overwhelmed in crowded, emotionally loud environments, and also why they are often the first person a friend calls when something has gone wrong. The sensitivity is not a leak in the system. It is the same mechanism that makes someone unusually good at noticing when another person is struggling before that person has said a single word. So return to where we started. The idea that crying easily marks you as weak simply does not survive contact with the evidence. A more reactive limbic system, a hormonal profile that lowers the threshold for emotional tears, years of suppression finally settling their account, and a trait linked to sharper empathic detection, none of that adds up to fragility. It adds up to a nervous system doing exactly what a highly attuned nervous system is built to do. If you have spent years treating your own tears as evidence against you, consider filing that evidence under a different heading entirely. Not proof of weakness, proof of a system that notices more, feels more, and eventually has to let some of it out somewhere. Let it out. The cost of holding it in was always higher than anyone told you.